Hello, everyone. Welcome to another edition of Interviewing the Legends. I'm your host, Ray Shasho. Kenny Wayne Shepherd's virtuosic guitar skills, rooted in a deep understanding of blues traditions, seamlessly blend classic elements with contemporary rock sensibilities, breathing new life into the blues rock genre, and captivating audiences worldwide through his electrifying performances and critically acclaimed albums. He has become a torchbearer for blues rock, inspiring a new generation of guitarists and leaving an incredible mark on the music landscape. Recorded at the legendary Fame Studios in Muscle Shoals, Alabama, Dirt on My Diamonds showcases Shepherd's ever-evolving sound, blending modern urban influences with traditional blues undertones. He says, every record I make is a moment in time, and this is a really special moment. Kenny describes Shepherd and his favorite co-writers throughout the rulebook, writing nonstop for 3 days. Nothing was off limits. We just let the good stuff rise to the top. At a time when life often feels bleak and bone raw, Shepherd was intentional about the subject matter he covered. There's not a lot of incredibly heart-wrenching or difficult subject matter, he explains. I didn't want this record to be dark or dreary. My goal is always to make music that makes people feel good. And of course, you feel the history down there in Muscle Shoals. You feel it in the air and at a studio like Fame, he adds. Please welcome one of the most significant blues rock guitarists of our time, Kenny Wayne Shepherd, to Interviewing the Legends. Hello, Kenny.
Hey, how are you?
First thing I want to do, I'm on the Gulf Coast of Florida, man, and you got a lot of dates coming up. The biggie, I guess, is the Clearwater Jazz Holiday at Coachman's Park. It's a new venue down there, which is going to be exciting. Thursday opens up with let's see, Thursday I think it's the Beach Boys, and also Gladys Knight on Friday with the Average White Band. Los Lobos is going to be Saturday, with I believe Buddy Guy is going to be there as well, and on Sunday that will be Kenny Wayne Shepherd Band, and some other groups are going to be there. Trampled by Turtles, Kingfish Ingram. It's going to be great. It's going to be a lot of fun, I think. Also coming up, you got some dates in Lauderdale. You're going to be in my backyard. I'm here in Sarasota. You're going to be at the Van Wezel, and also at the Hard Rock in Orlando. So we're excited, man. Thank you for coming to Florida. We appreciate it.
Yeah, well, I'm fired up about it. That venue, from what I heard, I have a friend that lives in the area, and he
Mm-hmm.
went. I took one of the opening nights. They had, I can't remember who it was. That anyway, he went there and he said it was a great venue. He really enjoyed the show, um, and that's going to be the last show for us for 2023, and then the other dates that you mentioned are for next year. So that's like February, I believe, February, maybe March of 2024, or some of those other dates, the Hard Rock, so forth and so on. So, we've been actually, there was a period of time we didn't do a lot of shows in the state of Florida. And so, a few years ago, man, I was like, why are we not going to Florida? And we started going to Florida. And, the fans, they turn out in big numbers there. And we have a really great fan base, and it's become a frequent stop for us, to come down there to the sun, to play for those people. And so we really look forward to it.
Yeah, we got a lot of festivals here, a lot of blues, jazz, country, a lot of stuff going on here because of the weather. I think that first show might have been Cheap Trick at the Sound. Was it Cheap Trick?
No, it was,
No?
man, I don't know why I'm drawing a blank. It was a free concert.
Okay.
So like the first two nights I think they did were, oh, it was Peter Frampton.
Oh, Peter Frampton. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. And he said it was a great show, and the venue is top notch.
Mm-hmm.
I've been hearing about the venue being built and stuff, so I knew it was coming, and I knew that we were gonna most likely, play it within the first year of it opening up. So I'm looking forward to coming down there for sure.
Yeah, man. I think I'm going to check you out at the Van Wezel because that's like 15 minutes from my house. You
Okay.
know, yeah,
Yeah.
we'll come see you there. Well, I want to chat about the new album, man. I loved it. And first thing I want to ask you, where'd you get the title from? Dirt on My Diamonds.
Well, that's one of the tracks. That's the opening track off the record.
Right.
And I mean, the song itself is about just embracing the imperfections, right?
Right.
Like the lyrics to that song is like, I like a little dirt on my diamonds. I like my edges rough.
Hmm.
It talks about, scratch, a little scratch on my finish, a little chip in my paint. It's like, basically, it's like, this world that we live in today with social media and all of this stuff, it's like this people and these influencers trying to depict this facade of perfection with all these filters and these special effects on their photos and their pretend, paradise, videos, of them being in this perfect place. Like there is no such thing. It's like it's impossible. Like perfection is actually impossible. So it's like what really makes us all unique and beautiful and interesting are our differences and our shortcomings and our imperfections, because those are all opportunities for growth, and that's what life is all about. So that's ultimately what that song is about. And Marshall, the guy that that co-produced the record with me, felt very certain that that was the appropriate title for the record.
Oh, I think that's a great point, man. And, tearing down statues is not the solution, because we learn from our past, just exactly what you said, things like that.
Yeah, well, there's just things that I just look at how social media has just become such a dangerous thing, and I
Yeah.
just worry. I have children, and I worry
Hmm.
about the effect that it's going to have on kids and their generation moving
Sure.
forward. I mean, we see these videos of these people, like they catch some some person like setting up, like they walk into like this resort and they go to the swimming pool and they put their kids out and they lay out all the toys by the
Right.
pool. They
Right.
snap a few selfies and then they're like, all right, kids, we're out of here. And they pack everything up and leave.
Exactly.
Like, and then they
Yeah.
post up like, oh, what an amazing day at this resort and blah, blah, blah.
Right.
And it was all just a photo op, it's not even reality. And it's like, yeah, I just worry about, and people see that, they think it's real and they think, oh, well, if I'm going to be cool or if I'm
Hmm.
going to be important, I have to do that, or I have to have that, or I have to look
Right.
like that. Like, no, man, it's like you got to be you and embrace all of what comes along with being you.
Yeah. Now we got artificial intelligence it's going to hit us hard now. So what's that going to bring? You know?
Yeah, I know it's pretty interesting. They're talking about, songs and songwriting and like the
Yep.
way AI can take people's voices and create new music out of it. It's kind of the
Yeah.
Wild West. We'll see how it
It
all
is.
works out. I mean, at the end of the day, I remember Joe Walsh. Somebody was asking Joe Walsh about it, and he goes,
Right.
"Hey, man," and he goes, uh, I ain't worried about AI until it can, kick a hole in a hotel bedroom wall, or take a chainsaw to a, guitar neck or something like that. It's like,
That's
AI
a
is, yeah, it might be able to like it might be able to fake all this stuff, but it can't be a bona fide rock star.
that's a good Joe Walsh impression, by the way.
He's a friend of mine.
I understand you got 6 kids. Is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah, you had to count, right? You had to think about that.
No, I know. Absolutely. We have six
That's
and
awesome.
4 girls, 2 boys. Very, very grateful for
Well,
all of them.
I've got 5 grandkids, so you just wait, man, because you're going to have a lot of grandkids.
Oh, I know,
Hopefully.
man. I know. I know. Well, I can't even think about grandkids right now, but I know when the time comes, in theory, there will be a lot.
Yeah, you're going to have a ball. That's all I can say. It's a great time. Here's what I said about the new album, and I hope you like it. I said, Dirt on My Diamonds by Kenny Wayne Shepherd is a magnificent musical array of high-powered rock and roll, blues, R&B, and country rock. Music enthusiasts of every genre are going to be blissfully intoxicated by this album. I myself was completely blown away. What do you think?
Well, that
Is that
sounds
okay?
good. Yeah, I think
I
we
gave it
need to
five
post
stars.
we need to post that up, man,
Yeah,
ASAP.
man.
Yeah,
I
get
hope
it out
so.
there.
Yeah, exactly. The unique thing about you is, and the band, you guys, are every genre loves you guys.
Mm,
I first heard you on a progressive rock station, believe it or not.
yeah, yeah. Well, that's the thing, man. It's like, I've historically had the blues label, kind of thrust on me, and I love blues music, and I do consider myself to be a real blues guitar player at heart. But the music
Right.
that I've created from day one has always been more than just blues. It's like I've always drawn from many, many different genres. And we've incorporated all that into what we do. And you hear it more on this album, I think, than any
Yes,
other record, for
I
sure.
agree. I agree. Sweet and Low, that's an official music video. It's incredible. I think a lot of people really love that song. It's not my favorite, but I love it. It's got some awesome guitar. Um, like you said, that I heard there's a big reaction to that tune. That's a great tune, man.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah,
Really good
I
song.
mean, that one has lots of elements going on, from, the blues. It has, has a very noticeable blues
Yep.
influence. It has a lot of rock in there. It has the record scratch and kind of a hip hop vibe, with some effects that we put in there as well. So there's a number of different genres that are all kind of converging in that one song.
Hats off to Noah, man. Noah is a great singer. He's incredible.
He
Both of
is,
you are
yeah.
great singers, but he's got some magic.
He does, man. He's always had a great voice. It's one of the reasons why he's been in the band with us now for 26 years.
It's a long time. That's great,
Yeah.
man. Yeah. You Can't Love Me. This is, I'm hearing R&B. You know what I mean? Which is, it's incredible. Like you said, this reaches across many genres. And I think that's going to be the next single that's going to be released as well, right?
Yeah, I think that's the next one coming out. And then I think so we've been putting one out starting in August each month leading up to the release of the record, which is November 17th. And I think the last one will be the title track, Dirt on My Diamonds, right before the album. The whole record becomes available.
Man on a Mission. I love how you implement the horns. You bring in the horns, that's great.
Yeah, we I mean, on the last record, The Traveler, I brought the horns in. I brought horns in on one song here and there over the years, but on the last record, I thought, man, first I was gonna have them on a couple songs, and then I remember we did a version of man, what is that song? Man, my brain's not working today. It's a Neil Young and Stephen Stills song that they did together, Mr. Soul.
Oh, and, yeah.
And it's really, really, really rocking and aggressive. And I remember being in the studio with the horn guys, and I was going to have them play on a couple songs, and I was like, man, that song is really rocking. I'm like, I wonder what it would sound like if we put horns on that. And then we did that, and it sounded really cool. And so then I just started putting them on everything on the last record. And so we continued with that theme on this record, and they're on just about every song on the record, not all of them, but almost. And I just kind of felt like, it's like people are, I mean, there was this push to get away from guitar solos, starting in the 90s, when I was coming up, they were trying to like eliminate guitar solos, and they've been pretty successful at it. And the same thing with horns. It's like nobody's doing horns, so let's do horns. Let's bring the horns in. Nobody's doing it. Let's do it. And obviously, we have guitar solos in every song that we do. So, but yeah, adds a cool element to the band for sure.
Well, especially when you sound R&B. I mean, I grew up in Baltimore and DC, where R&B was huge, and all those great bands in the 70s had horns. The Ohio Players, and I mean. They were great. They were really polished bands and great musicians. So yeah, I love horns, man. I think it's a great touch. I think "Man on the Mission," that was my favorite tune.
Yeah,
no,
that's cool.
That was my favorite.
That one's real vibey, man. That one just has this real kind of hypnotic groove. It's just really all about the vibe in that song. The lyrics. It's not so much about the lyrics. That's just the vehicle for the music.
Yeah. Well, you're very smart for mixing it up like that, because you can be stuck in that blues genre, and nobody else is gonna, I mean, you don't want to be categorized, as just a blues artist, and a lot of people do, but if you can reach all those other people and all those other genres, man, you got it made. That's what I think.
Yeah. Well, we have, and I think that, the important thing that's been my mission from day one is like, to bring new fans into the blues world, because even though my music isn't, I mean, we've done traditional blues albums over the years, but most of my music is not traditional blues, but it is heavily blues based and influenced, and it all kind of stems from the blues. But the goal is to like make music that is going to appeal to people outside of that genre, so that then you bring them into the genre, and you educate them on the blues masters that inspired me to pick up guitar. Stuff like
that's
that.
What the Brits did.
If you don't have people doing that, then I don't know how you can expect it to continue to thrive and grow and
Right.
be relevant. Otherwise, it's like you're just preaching to the choir the whole time, and
Yeah.
so you're never converting any new people if you just continue doing the same thing the same way all the time.
You made a lot of fans with the women too, because I think a lot of the women like that country touch, the country rock touch,
Yeah,
which
well,
you know,
what's interesting about that? Well, first of all, I grew up around country music,
right?
but country music when I was a kid is far different from country music today.
Yeah.
But my dad worked at a country radio station when I was a kid, and but I grew up listening to like Hank Jr. and Willie Nelson and
Hmm.
George Jones and all that real stuff,
That's right.
and what's interesting is that modern day country music has really just become like 90s rock,
I know.
right? But
Yeah.
you know what? We were all over 90s rock radio, right?
Hmm.
Like Blue on
Hmm.
Black was a massive hit in the 90s on rock radio. So
That's
it's
right.
almost like country music has come to me. It's like what they're doing is what I've been doing for, 25, 30 years. So
Exactly. You're 100%
so
right.
so
Yeah.
people, it's like, let's not be mistaken here. It's like people think I'm leaning in that direction. It's like, no, they're leaning more in my direction,
Yeah.
which is great because it works.
Hey, you invented commercial country radio. There you go.
No, but I won't go that far, but I will say that what we do can be can fit very nicely into modern day country
Yes.
music because
Yeah.
of the way their genre has come. It just sounds much more like rock music than what was really once country music. And there's room for all of that. I mean, that's what I mean,
Hmm.
the blues community might some of them might not like what I do because they think it sounds too rock,
Yeah.
right?
Right.
And so there's room for the people who want to do only the traditional stuff, and there's still
Right.
country. Like there's a social media account that pops up every once in a while, like Saving Country Music, and they're always
Hmm.
showing like these younger country bands that are playing like authentic old school country like
Right.
today. And so there's room for all of that,
Sure. I
and
agree.
so that's cool. But because the contemporary country music has gone so far in a rock direction, and a lot of
Hmm.
the sounds they're doing are sounds that were big in the 90s, from the drums and the guitars and stuff, then it just like what we do just naturally seems to go well with it.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree. But you can still hear your music at like maybe in a honky tonk bar. It would go well. you
Yeah,
know?
well, in all honesty, man, there's blues and country music have very similar
Yes.
background. I mean,
And even
they
R&B, you know that?
yeah,
Even
yeah.
R&B, it's very, very close. I talked to a lot of legendary R&B guys and they love country. They grew up that way. This blew me away. Out of all this great music you got, you slipped in a cover of Saturday Night's All Right for Fighting from Elton John. That was
Hmm.
cool. You did a great version of that tune.
Yeah, I felt confident we could do a good version of it. I have a running list that I keep of potential cover songs. I'll hear a song on the radio, I'm like, oh man, we could kill that, so I'll write it down,
Yeah.
and then we get in the studio and then we have like a free moment, we're like in between songs, and I'm like, hey, let's run this down real quick, and I just, I think that Elton John's had an incredible career. I mean, the timing is pretty good because he's doing
Hmm.
his farewell thing, so
Right.
it's a good opportunity for us to kind of like pay tribute to him.
Sure.
His guitar player Davey is a good friend of mine, and I admire the heck out of him. And so it was cool for me to also pay tribute to him. And there was really awesome guitar parts that he put on that track. And it's a great song. It's a great addition to the record for sure.
Well, it's a great jam by you guys. Did a
Yeah,
great job, man.
thanks.
Awesome. Then you have Bad Intentions,
Mhm.
incredible guitar, like always, great melody. It's a very powerful track. Another powerful, very powerful track. And another one of my favorites, Ease on My Mind. Um, I'm telling you, man, I heard elements of Robin Trower in there from the vocals. He sounded a little bit like Jimmy Dore, you know. And I'm a big Trower fan. I've had Trower on on the show many times, so
Mhm.
that was great.
Yeah. No, it's good. I thought that was a really great track to end the record on. We got 8 songs on this record, and
Uh huh.
I did a
It's
lot of
perfect.
research,
Yeah.
yeah, it's the perfect number. It's like, because it's the right amount of time. People can listen to it from beginning to end. They don't get distracted.
I
every
agree.
song has a reason for being on the record. There's no filler in there at
Right.
all.
Right. I
We
hate
didn't just
filler.
throw us.
I hate
Yeah,
filler.
it's like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, and that was a great song to end the record on. It gives people that, that really kind of bluesy thing that they've come to expect from us,
Yep.
that we do so well. And then that's the perfect like song to end this record on, and the perfect platform to transition from volume 1 into volume 2, which is going to come out probably sometime next year.
Oh, okay, cool. What can we expect from volume 2?
Well, it's just, I mean, it's going to be another record that's, I mean, I think of the same caliber as this album,
Yeah, good.
and I mean, they're companion pieces, but at the same time, these two albums, we could have given them separate titles and they could totally stand on their own. But I thought
Right,
it was a
right.
compelling idea to do volume 1 and volume 2. It's not
Hmm.
something that you don't see done very often. And so I thought it would
Yeah,
be cool.
I think it's a great idea, man. Noah Hutt, who's from Cincinnati, I think. How'd you guys first meet anyway?
Well, I had a different guy singing on my first record. I
Right.
didn't start singing lead vocals until my fourth record.
Hmm.
So, we had me and the first guy had a falling out and parted ways, and so we started looking for a new singer, and we auditioned a bunch of guys, and Noah was one of them, and just kind of knew from the moment that I met him, and we
Yeah.
first jammed together, that he was the guy for the band, and he's become a part of the family. I mean, he's been with me for 26 years now, and I've transitioned more into singing. Like, I'm singing lead vocals on about half of this stuff and half the next
Yeah.
album and half the last
You got a
album.
great voice too, by the way.
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah.
But it's cool because Noah's still part of the band. He will continue to be, and he sang on all that great stuff, for the second album and third album,
Hmm.
and several other records. And so it actually gives us more tools in our arsenal, to have two lead singers in the band. And we have
Yep.
very different voices, so
Right.
we can do a wider range of songs because of how different our voices are.
Yeah, you have an advantage because Carlos Santana doesn't sing.
Yeah, I know. It's interesting. It's really interesting. It's like some people early on, people were giving me crap because I wasn't singing in my band, but my voice wasn't ready. Like, my voice,
Yeah.
when I opened up my mouth when I was a teenager, I sounded like a teenager. When I
Right.
played guitar, I
Yeah.
didn't sound like a teenager playing guitar.
Right.
So it wasn't the right sound for my band, right? So people would give me crap because I didn't sing. And then there's a very small amount of people now that, like, now that I am singing, they're like, "Oh, is Noah still in the band? Are you getting rid of
Oh,
it? You can't get rid of it."
jeez.
I'm like, I'm not trying to get rid of anybody, man. I'm just trying to do my thing here, you know.
It's funny. Robin Trower never sang. Jimmy Dore had a great voice. But then Trower started singing.
Yeah.
On the last 5, 6 albums he was singing, and I never noticed he had a great voice, and he did sing with Procol Harum a little
Mm.
bit. So yeah, why not, man? But you got a good voice. You actually got a great voice. It's
Yeah.
funny. A lot everybody's hooked on Blue on Black, aren't they?
Mhm.
That's
Right.
we know that's
That's a
your
great song, man.
yeah
It's a pretty legendary song. I mean, it's like one of those songs. I feel incredibly proud that
yeah.
that I helped write that song, and that we had the success that we had, and the song, you know, was number one. We were setting records with that song when it was a single for us, and
Hmm.
then 20 years later, the Five Finger Death
That's
Punch
right.
covered it, and then it went to number one all over again 20 years
Amazing.
later. Yeah, so I'm just proud. I mean, I'd love to have been. I mean, I've had a lot of radio top 5, top 10 rock radio songs over the course of my career,
Hmm.
but Blue on Black, far exceeds the success of any of the other singles for sure.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm absolutely proud of that one.
I'm going to mention some other tunes that you're well known for. First of all, you do a great Voodoo Child,
Mm.
and I like how you put horns in that.
Yeah, we just started doing that when we had the horns out on the road with us, which we don't have them out with us right now. But yeah, it was like, let's do something different. Like, we have
Yeah.
the organ players playing on it, the horn guys are playing on it. But I've been known for doing that song since I first put my band together when I was
Right.
15 years old. That's always been the last song of my set. So it's kind of become this staple in the show, and it's kind of a standout moment. Everybody kind of, a lot of people come to see that song for
Hmm.
sure.
I like to hear you do Machine Gun.
Mm. That's a good one. I actually, Haven't done that. We used to do the Experience Hendrix tour, right? We had
Right.
all these different guitar players,
Yeah.
and I think Doyle Bramhall used to do Machine Gun in that show. So I never have actually tried to learn that whole song from beginning to end. That's a really killer song
That's a
too.
killer. Yeah. Woman Like You, another great tune. Shotgun Blues. These are all my favorites. Best of Times, of course, and they're all on YouTube if anybody wants to check it out. And they're all official videos. Never Looking Back.
Mhm.
True Lies, another great tune. Love the stuff you did with Joe Bonamassa. I'm gonna be interviewing Joe because he's going to be here as well. The same venue you're going to be at, the Van Weasel in
Yeah.
Sarasota. And he's a cool guy too.
Yep.
You like playing with Joe? Is there
Yeah,
any?
absolutely. No,
Is
he's a
that
good guy.
camaraderie, or is it like you trying to upstage each other?
No, no, no. No, I think we've gotten past all that. Everybody's
Have
grown
you?
up to the point that, yeah, we get along great. And I think, early on, when everybody was young and everybody's trying to prove themselves and make a name
Yeah.
for themselves, there's probably some healthy competition, amongst all the guys from our generation. But the ones that have hung in there and continued to be successful and do their thing, it's like,
Yep.
I don't think any of us are out to prove anything anymore. It's like we're just out to have a great time and make great music and make the fans happy. And so, Joe and I hang out on and off the stage.
Cool. Have you been to his room of collectibles in his house?
Actually, we've had lots of plans to do that, like when I was living in California, but I never actually made it over there. It's complicated when you have two guys and their schedules are as busy as both of ours are. So we seize the moments that we have, but it's not generally we'll just get together and like sit around and smoke cigars. We don't even
Yeah.
play guitar. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's
Yeah.
nobody pulls out a guitar or anything.
Yeah. That's interesting. Um, I like your version of Turn to Stone. You were talking about Joe Walsh earlier. That's a really cool version. I saw the live version that you did. And I had Beth Hart on the show. Love Beth. She's cool.
Mm-hmm.
And you've done some things with Beth. And now, she was she collaborated a lot with Jeff Beck, and now Jeff's gone, and she loves to collaborate with people. But one song Beth did, I think it was in Amsterdam she did with her band. By the way, her guitar player is excellent as well in her band. But I Don't Need No Doctor, man. I'd love to see you and Beth do that, the Humble Pie tune, because she really nails that tune because she's got a great voice. She's the only one I know that can sing kind of like, the original singer.
Yeah, she has an incredible voice, incredibly powerful voice. Mm-hmm. Yeah, she's amazing. She was on one of the Hendrix tours, and we did one or two songs together, her and I.
Yeah, Beth is great, man. She is. Are you into muscle cars? Because I noticed the cover, of course. Huh?
Of course, yeah.
What do you got?
Well, new or old, like, I got a 70 CUDA convertible that we're working on. That's the car that's on the cover.
Yeah.
And the work in progress. And then we have a 70 Plymouth Duster, 69 Charger, 64 Dodge 330, 64. Yeah, let's just say 330. I had a 72 Charger. That one got stolen actually from a friend's shop.
Really? Wow.
Yeah, years ago. And then got a 74 Dodge Ram Charger truck, like the lift off top, Then the newer stuff, man, I got the 2018 Dodge Demon, and I got one of the new ones, the D170 that's coming out with 1,025 horsepower. That's coming. I got a Viper. 2013 Viper GTS.
I used to love the Vipers.
Yeah. Got the TRX as my daily driver, the Ram TRX.
Oh, wow.
Supercharged 707 horsepower pickup truck, Awesome.
I had the mini version of the Viper, the Stealth. I had a Stealth.
Yeah, I remember the Stealth, man. That was the same as like the Mitsubishi 3000 GT.
Exactly.
It's kind of the same car, yeah.
Yeah. I had a 79 Trans Am, like, Smokey and the Bandit. That was my favorite car.
Yep.
I had a Corvette, 78 Corvette, and convertible. My brother had a 69 442. That was a cool car.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I love muscle cars, man. So do you work on them as well?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
That's
cool.
cool.
I'll do everything. So like, there's there's a limit to my abilities, but when I
Yeah.
get to that limit, then I find guys that know how to do it, you know.
Well, it's easier to work on the old cars. The new cars are all computerized now, so it's
Yeah, but you know, it's like a lot of guys are. I mean, what we do is we find an old car, we tear it apart, we rebuild it with modern technology. So we make it
mm-hmm.
perform like a new car, but it has the classic styling. But we're putting new, like, well, that convertible 70 Cuda has a Hellcat motor in it. It has like a brand new 707 horsepower Hellcat motor in it. So
Mm.
there are some benefits to that, to the modern technology, um, you know, and putting it into the older cars for sure.
You like the new vet?
You know what I like? Here's what I like. I like the new Vet's cool. I haven't driven one yet. I'm waiting to see when they come out with the ZR1, and then they have this other one that has a weird name that's supposed to be like the be all end all, like most crazy version. I can't remember what they're calling it, but it has a really weird name to it.
Right.
But what I want, I actually, for the first time, because one of my sons is into Corvettes, so now he's got me into Corvettes. But what I want is I want a 2019 C7 ZR1
mm-hmm.
7-speed manual, right? Because that's
Nice.
the last year of the front engine Corvette and the last year for the manual transmission, which was 7-speed. And the ZR1 is the pinnacle
mm-hmm.
of performance for that, right? So that's what I
Yeah.
want. But those cars are already selling for like way more than
Yeah.
they were when they were new.
Yeah.
And so their value, people are seeing the value in those cars.
I love vets. When I first moved here to Florida, I wanted a 63 vet, and there's a place in Florida that sells all those things, you know, all the old vets and everything. It's a little out of my price range at the time, but it really wasn't though. You know, right now I could have probably afforded it, but I don't know. I still want one.
Yeah.
I just want to
Great
talk
cars.
about your. I want to talk about your dad real quick, man. He was pretty cool growing up. He promoted shows too, didn't he?
Yeah. He did some concert promotion. He did a little bit of artist management. He even tried to start his own independent record label at one
Very
point.
cool.
Yeah, he
Yeah.
was into all kinds of stuff.
And he kind of introduced you to Stevie Ray Vaughan. Is that right? At a
Yeah, with
concert.
one of the shows that he promoted, he hired Stevie Ray and Double Trouble to headline. So that's when I got to meet Stevie for the first time when I was a kid,
Yeah.
and that was, you know, watching him play was life changing for me. That was like gave me all the motivation I needed to like get a guitar and start playing like hours and hours and hours every day. You know, trying to make it sound like something.
Yeah. You know, a lot of people will listen to Stevie for the first time. They say, well, he's doing Hendrix stuff and this and that. He's done a lot more. If you listen, you know, he gets eclectic too. You know, he kind of gets into, you know, like things like Jeff Beck used to do, you know, he goes, yeah.
No, he definitely took it into different directions. I mean, look, people just have to throw a label
They
on you,
always
you
do.
know. So it's like with
Yeah.
him, it's like, oh, they were constantly talking about Hendrix and Albert King, and yes, you can hear all of that in what
Yeah.
he did, but you absolutely hear him in it as well, because he learned the same way that I learned and that other people learn. It's like you learn by your influences and you learn from their music, but then you take what you learn from them and figure out how to play it in your own way, and that's how you create your own identity. I mean, people did the same thing with me for a long time. It's like, oh, the Stevie Ray Vaughan, they can hear. Of course, you can hear the Stevie Ray Vaughan influence because he's one of my biggest influence. You can hear the Jimi Hendrix, you can hear the Albert King, the BB King, all that stuff is in there. But now it's like, you know, when I play all that stuff, it's like I play it in my own way, which has created, you know, my own identity.
See, I don't hear that. I hear you. And the thing I really notice is the country, you know, the country rock in you, which is cool because that's what appeals to, I think appeals to a lot of people.
Right.
You know,
it's just easy for people to, it's just so much easier for them to throw a label on you and throw you into a category, you know. But like, I mean, you would never have heard Stevie Ray Vaughan ever do a song like Blue on Black. Like Blue on Black isn't anywhere near anything that Stevie Ray Vaughan has ever done in his entire life and career. You know, but it's easier for them to go, oh, Stevie Ray Vaughan, blah, 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 you know. Which is like, okay. I mean, look, I've never shied away from it because it's part of my story. Like I met that man and he lit the fire inside of me, you know. And so like for me to try and deflect and pretend like, you know, like that didn't happen so that people wouldn't make the association would be doing him a disservice. You know, he deserves the credit for that.
Sure, I agree. Who are some of the guitar players you like today that are on the scene?
I mean, there's a lot of great guitar players. There's some young guys coming up like Marcus King. Marcus
Hmm.
King is
Hmm.
awesome, a lot of young girls coming up that are
A
doing
lot of
good,
young
like
girls.
Allie Venable and
Yeah.
Samantha Fish, and
Yeah.
and then there's some guys that not necessarily new, but like Warren Haynes is awesome. Derek
Hmm.
Trucks. I mean, people from my generation and
Hmm.
even a little before. I mean, there's no shortage of great guitar players out there.
I'm impressed by the young girls. They're really picking it up really quickly.
I like it. I think it's great, man. I think it's great. It's good to have that, and the fact that they're young. It's
Yeah,
like because they're bringing new life into it.
exactly, man. I want to mention Trouble is 25. So people
Mhm.
can get that. That's the re-recording of the and it's the 25th anniversary of that album, that great piece of music. That's out and available. You got a Bob Dylan tune on that, right? Ballad of a Thin Man, which is cool.
Yeah, we had originally recorded that for the record, for the original Trouble Is record, but it didn't go on the record. We did a
Right.
different Bob Dylan song that went called Everything Is Broken. That
Yeah.
went on the Trouble Is record, and then Ballad of a Thin Man didn't. So we decided to include Ballad of a Thin Man on the new version just
Hmm.
because it would be interesting for people to hear this version of this song they never knew existed, that was
Yeah.
intended for that record.
How did you meet your wife? I got to bring that up.
Just nothing fancy, mutual friends, just hanging out in California, kind
I
of.
don't think a lot of people know that Mel Gibson's daughter, is your wife.
Yeah. Well, actually, a lot of people do know that, but
Do
yeah.
they? Okay,
Mhm.
but maybe a lot of rock fans. I don't know.
I don't.
I think that's cool. Mel's doing a lot of cool things now. You know.
Yeah, he's got. Yeah, well, he did a John Wick series
Hmm.
called The Continental that just came out. He's getting ready to do. I think they're getting ready to film The Resurrection, which is obviously the story after the Passion of the Christ. So
Yeah.
hopefully that'll be really really good for him as well. And really talented guy for sure.
Mel's involved in that protecting people from trafficking thing now, and they put that movie out, I think.
Hmm.
Which is cool. I'm so glad. But he's teamed up with a bunch of other actors.
Well, Jim Caviezel, I think, is the guy that really spearheaded that
Right.
movie, whole thing. And Jim
Good
was the
for
guy
him.
he played Jesus in the Passion of the Christ. So
Yeah.
there's that connection there with those guys.
Good for him, man. I'm really glad he's doing that. That's awesome. And I just want to mention real quick about the rides. You teamed up with Steven Stills, which is really cool. Barry Goldberg from the Electric Flag. I mean, we're going way
Hmm.
back with the Electric Flag. I think that was Buddy Miles, right? Buddy Miles was in that
Yeah.
band, I think.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. What happened there? Are you guys ever going to get back and do it again, or
Yeah. I just did a couple things with Steven recently. So,
really?
yeah, I think that obviously it's just a matter of schedule. It's
Hmm.
like because I don't live in California anymore. When I lived in California, I could just get in the car and drive over to Steven's house and we would write some songs.
Right,
Now
right.
I'm not there anymore. So scheduling is the biggest deal. But we just did a couple things together and had a ball doing
Cool.
it, and much love and respect, mutually between the two of us for sure. And Barry's a great guy too. I haven't seen Barry in some time since
Hmm.
before COVID and all that stuff, but I hear he's doing well.
Yeah, Steven's got an attachment here in Tampa Bay area.
Hmm.
He went to school here, and
Yep.
he hung out in Ybor City, and he's talks Spanish. I mean, I'm half Cuban, man, and so I was impressed by his accent. He talks like a Cuban, which is pretty cool.
He's a smart guy.
He's a smart guy, all right. All right, here's your final question. I ask everybody this question. I get some really great answers. Okay. Very interesting answers. If you had a Field of Dreams wish like the movie, that's one of my favorite movies, to perform or collaborate with anyone from the past or present, who would that be?
Well, if it's anybody from the past,
Mm-hmm.
I would say Jimi Hendrix,
Jimmy,
man.
of course.
Yeah, dude, come on, man. Just to spend one day around that guy and see what he was like would be cool.
Yeah. I asked Robin Trower that question. He said, "Nah, I wouldn't get on stage with Jimi Hendrix. I'd be too afraid." So he said James Brown. That's the R&B influence in Robin Trower.
Yeah, well, I
Yeah.
played with James Brown, so.
Oh, you play with James Brown. Very
Oh
cool.
yeah, yeah. James Brown wrote the liner notes inside my booklet of my very first record, Lead Better Heights.
Awesome, man. Did he
Yeah.
teach you how to dance?
No, I wish no, he didn't. But I played with him. I played on stage with him many, many times. Yeah.
Wow, I did not know that.
Mm-hmm.
Very cool. Yeah, I like James Brown's one of the greats. Well, I tell you, Kenny, thank you so much, man, for being on the show. I know you're a very busy guy. You got a lot of shows coming up. I'm definitely going to come see you in Sarasota.
All right, man.
Yeah, it's going to be a great show. I heard all the reviews about your shows, man, and they're all positive. They're all great. Everybody loves you in concert. I want to say special thanks to John Bleacher of Prospect PR. John's a great guy. He's going to line me up again with Bonamassa for arranging this interview with Kenny Wayne Shephard. You can pre-order the new album, Dirt on My Diamonds, Volume 1, by the Kenny Wayne Shephard Band. It's going to be available on your website and, of course, on Amazon.com as well. Also, Trouble is 25, which has a CD and a DVD, which is very cool. So you can get the whole package, and that's also available. That's available now. You can go. You have a site that's www.kwsband.myshopify.com, and you can get all your stuff there.
Yeah, that's for the merch stuff. They can just go to KennyWayneShepherd.net or .com and click on merch or something like that. It'll take them to that site.
Okay. And you can always go on Amazon, but the other sites are probably better. You probably make more money that way if they go right to your site.
Yeah, I don't really know, to be honest with you. But either way, it doesn't matter. Just check out the
buy
music.
it.
Yeah.
You're on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. You guys are everywhere. You got the big tour coming up. Good luck on the tour and have a lot of fun, man.
All right, thanks.
My best to your family as well.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, man. Take care.
All right, have a good one. All right.
You too. Bye.